This isn't a normal gameplay video. The gameplay that I have up here is just background footage, but I thought it'd be appropriate to take out the F-16 for this. This user skin is also created by BobPie1 over on War Thunder Live. Go check him out, he makes some really good skins. Anyway, if you don't already know, the F-16XL got leaked through this little picture. This picture pretty much confirms all these aircraft will be coming next patch, including the F-16XL. I think it's appropriate we start out with the history of this plane. Basically, in 1980, the F-16XL was made as a modification to F-16 airframes to compete with the F-15E in the Enhanced Tactical Fighter competition. It was designed with a cranked arrow delta wing design to have a much more efficient lift-to-drag ratio at supersonic speeds, while also having a larger wing surface area to mount more hardpoints. Besides that, it kept pretty much all the same avionics as the normal F-16A, as well as the engine. However, the changes to this design, as well as keeping some stuff the same, would later become its flaw. It's important to note that this plane wasn't designed to be a light fighter anymore. It was designed to be a replacement for the F-111 and a competitor to the F-15E. Instead of keeping the energy-retaining design as the conventional F-16, they decided to go with a delta wing approach for much less supersonic drag, as well as better lift and more hardpoints. Because of this, we now have a heavier F-16 that has way more low-speed drag while keeping the same engine as the lighter conventional F-16, making it a lot worse two-circle fighter. See where I'm going with this? No? Let me explain. To be a good two-circle fighter, you need two important factors: an energy-retaining airframe and a high thrust-to-weight. Note that these don't have to be super well balanced between each other to be a good airframe, they just have to have both factors, or one slightly outweighing the other. Let me give an example. This is a Eurofighter, the best dogfighter in the game. It's the best because it has a really good balance between being a good one-circle fighter and a really good two-circle fighter. Here's why. The Eurofighter doesn't have a really good energy-retaining airframe, however, it can still retain energy better than most other planes. However, because its thrust weight is so high, whatever energy it loses, it can make back in no time, giving it the ability to power through the two-circle with ease. Another good example that I'm going to use is from the second best dogfighter in the game, the F-2. The F-2 doesn't have a really high thrust to weight, however it does have a really good energy retaining design, giving it a decent balance between the two, but enough so that it can outrate every other plane in game, besides the Eurofighter. You might be thinking, well, just because the XL doesn't have a high thrust to weight, doesn't mean that it can't dogfight well, right? You'd think that, however, we're not just talking low thrust to weight, we're talking a lot heavier and a lot more drag. Let me show you something. Know the difference between these two planes? No? Let me show you. This is the F-16A Block 10. A lot of people say that it's the third best dogfighter in the game because it's really good at ray fighting. And this is the Block 15 ADF. The Block 15 uses the same exact engine as the Block 10. However, it gets a lot heavier, making its thrust a lot worse. The plane still maintains a similar wing loading to the Block 10. However, because it can't make up for its lack of thrust and its energy-retaining design, it could get outrated by almost every single F-16 in the game. Not to mention, in a low-speed dogfight, meaning a one-circle, thrust weight is extremely important for stall fights and gaining speed and energy back. A plane with a low thrust to weight typically gets outweighed by a plane with a higher thrust to weight. Now, how bad is the F-16XLs? Well, pretty bad actually. After doing some research online, I saw a lot of different sources saying different things about what engine the XL-1 uses, which is 100% the one that's in this leak. The engines used go from the Pratt & Whitney F100 PW100, which is the engine that was first used in the F-16, to the Pratt & Whitney F100 PW200, and the General Electric F110 GE100. These engines being mounted in the conventional F-16 already don't produce a lot of thrust, a thrust weight equaling about 1.05 or just above 1. Now, the F-16XL's design added about 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, which decreases the thrust to weight to well below negative, to like a 0.92 or maybe even a 0.89. There really is only one area that the F-16XL is going to excel in, and that's instantaneous turn rate. Because it's a high drag delta wing, it'll be able to drain its speed a lot faster than the conventional F-16. However, because it's such a low thrust to weight, it's going to lose all of its speed, and it's going to take a long time for it to get it back, making it a sitting duck. And just because it's going to be a bad dogfighter doesn't mean it's going to be a fun one. If you're excited for this plane, good for you. You should be. It's going to be a fun addition to the game. However, this video is not for bad-mouthing the F-16XL. This is just to be informative, to not expect much. But anyways, since we're on the topic of it, where do I think this plane is going to be in the tech tree? So it's really between three places: the bomber line, the strike line, and the light fighter line. I think it's highly unlikely for it to be under the light fighter line along with the F-16C, because it's more than likely going to be labeled as a strike fighter instead of a normal fighter. So my guess, it's either going to be in the bomber line right before the F-15E, or in the strike fighter line right below the Harrier. I think it's more likely to be in the bomber line right in front of the F-15E because it was the direct competition to it. But we'll have to see what happens. But in conclusion, the F-16XL isn't going to be game breaking for air, but it might serve as a really good cast plane. If you made it this far, Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. I don't really make content like this, but I thought it was really important to make this video because I wanted to address the misinformation that I've been seeing about this plane coming to the game. Note that it's not going to be anything crazy. Don't get your hopes up about it being game breaking. Just be happy it's coming to the game. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.